Good evening, everybody. Good evening, guys. How are we doing? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy weekend to us all. Please, can somebody confirm that they can hear me? Please, can somebody confirm that they can hear me? If you're watching from YouTube, if you are in the live studio with me, please can you confirm that you can hear me? Please, can somebody confirm that they can hear me? If you're on YouTube, just drop it in the chat, right? Just drop it in the chat and I would see it. And then if you are in the studio, kindly also drop it in the chat and I would also see it. Let me just know that you can hear me, especially those on YouTube. Please confirm that you can hear me on YouTube. Please, if you're on YouTube, kindly confirm that you can hear me. Okay, thank you very much, Delight. Thank you so very much. Welcome. How are you doing? Today's class is not going to be business as usual because we need to cover up a lot of things, right? And I don't want to waste any time. So even if it's one person that is here on time, I'm going to start with that person and then others can either wait for the recording or catch up through what's it called, YouTube, right? But it's very important that we try to cover the whole essence of merging two classes today is because we didn't have a class yesterday. How many persons missed a learning with the Law Academy? Well, I genuinely did miss teaching you guys, right? And while we were working behind the scene to try and get things sorted out, I missed coming to class and seeing your beautiful interactions. It gives us profound joy to know that the effort we are putting in, people are actually benefiting from it, right? We always say real people, real impact. Okay, so welcome everybody. Happy Sunday. Hope you all went to church. How's your weekend going? I think we should just wait for like 3 minutes, right, to see if we're going to have more persons, but it's not going to exceed 3 minutes, right? So before then, today we are going to be learning non-verbal communication. And I told us day before yesterday that you're going to be turning on your cameras. So I did not forget, right? So Mr. Olufemi, please, can I see your face? Can I know what you look like? Can I know what you look like? Mrs. I don't know, will I say Miss or Mrs.? Christiana, Delight, can you people turn on your camera, please? At least let's start getting used to media communication as well, right? It's not just, this is not a voice chat. It's supposed to be a vis-a-vis conversation. Nobody wants to turn on their camera. I know Christiana said their transformer exploded. Did this still explode? Christiana, can you hear me? Is your transformer good now? Eh? Please, if you can hear me, Christiana, just put it in the chat that you can hear me. Yeah, good evening, Mr. Olufemi. Good evening. You will join YouTube because the volume here is low. Oh, okay. So is the volume better on YouTube? Is the volume better on YouTube? Oh, it's better on YouTube, right? So maybe it's a StreamYard issue. Okay, please, anybody in StreamYard, can you please confirm that my voice is low? Like anybody else? Delight, please, can you confirm if my voice is low from your end? Mr. Olufemi, please, can you also help me confirm if my voice is low from your end, please? Let me just know. We have like a minute to go. Okay, it's not. From the light's end, is not low. Okay, Mr. Olufemi, are you in party? You want to go and join that our class guy that's in party? So that Mr. Olufemi just typed good evening and ran away, unlike him. Hope everything is okay at your end. Sound here is loud and clear. Oh, okay, thank you very much. Christiana, so if it's better for you on YouTube, then if it's better for you on YouTube, then you can switch to YouTube, right? Sorry about that. These technologies can just have their issues from different devices. All right, so we are 5 minutes past 7 o'clock and we have to start. So we're going to start with day 4. I'm going to share my screen, right, so that we can start immediately because there's no time to waste time. All right, so day 4, share. Okay. So please, can you guys see my screen? Both the persons on YouTube and the ones in the studio. Can you see my screen? We're looking at non-verbal communication. Can you see what I just shared, please? Okay, thank you very much for that feedback. Thank you. All right, so today we are looking at non-verbal communication. All right, and what is non-verbal communication? Before we get into the definition, let me just give us a brief introduction or overview, right? Nonverbal communication plays a vital role in professional interactions, often influencing how other persons perceive our message and intent. By mastering body language, tone, and expression, you can convey confidence, foster trust, and enhance your overall communication effectiveness. When combined with verbal skills, non-verbal cues create a powerful synergy for career success. Now, because it's very common for me to teach and explain, right? Non-verbal communication simply entails those cues or signs you give off without making any form of noise, right? Some people will call it imbecile communication, like people that are dumb, something like that. But beyond that, it is communicating without making any form of sound, right? You know that no feedback is also a form of feedback, right? If you're talking to somebody and they don't answer you, it's a way of them actually communicating something to you, apparently, right? So I think it's very important that we understand that our body gesture. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone and they're looking very bored, like you're looking at their facial expression and you can see that this person is obviously tired of what you're saying, tired of you, tired of the whole conversation. But then most times we don't really pay attention to, how people are trying to use these signs to tell us either that they are exhausted or that they are not interested in the conversation, or they probably don't find you interesting enough to want to keep paying attention to. All right, so non-verbal communication are those cues that we make with our body. Now, in communicating or presenting, your posture in general tells people if you are confident or if you are probably shy or timid, right? I don't know how many persons have noticed this thing, but when you go for maybe a tech event and you see somebody that climbs up the stage, from his first mount on the stage, his body language tells you if he's scared, right? Or if she's scared. Then if you see a confident person, the way they will mount the stage, you will know that, oh, this person either prepared very well or they've mastered the act of presentation, right? So by mastering your body language, your tune, now tone is also a form of non-verbal communication, right? Tune can be the way you say mm-hmm. There's a difference between and mm-hmm. These are like cues that we give off that either tell people if we are interested or if we're not interested in what they are saying. Right now, you can express confidence, foster trust, and enhance your overall communication effectiveness. Now, there's one thing about combining verbal communication and non-verbal communication. All right, let me say, for instance, you are having a conversation with someone and you want to show that you are interested in what the person is saying. The way you would nod, right, Nodding is a form of, it's a gesture that signifies agreement, right? The way put in a little words of interest, like, are you serious? Wow, tell me more, right? Those little cues tells the person that, oh, you are actually interested, right? But then if somebody is talking to you and your hand is like this, or you're bored out, or you're just slobbed, it's like the person will feel like, oh, am I really that much of a boring person, or this person is generally not interested in what I have to say, right? So I hope that introduction does justice to what nonverbal communication is. But for us to have a contextual definition, right? Nonverbal communication refers to the messages conveyed without words, including body language, facial expression, gestures, tone of voice, and physical appearance. Right now, when we say physical appearance, it means the way you either fold your arms, or the way you bend your head, or the way you arc your eyebrows. Like, all of those things tell people a lot of things, right? Now, non-verbal communication often complements verbal communication, and it speaks louder than words itself, right? They say when you'll be talking to somebody and they are giving you signs that what you're saying does not make sense, right? And then it's up to you to actually pay attention to what this person is trying to communicate, so that you'll be able to either stop, slow down, or ask for feedback, right? Because if a person is communicating with you and you're not getting any feedback from them, it's a form of communication itself, right? And most times in situations like that, it's either you are not really communicating, or they are not really understanding you, right? So when you're communicating with people, you need to pay attention to the things that they are giving off with their body language. There's the way a person will sit, like, when you go to advise somebody and then the advice is now like church message, they become very erect, right? Like, they are tired, they are just they just want you to stop, basically. Right now, we're looking at key aspects of non-verbal communication. The first thing is body language, right? This includes posture, gesture, and physical movements that indicate confidence, attentiveness, or discomfort. Right now, most times we don't really pay attention to people's body language, right? If you go out with somebody on a date, for instance, because I like to teach with what we are used to, or our everyday experiences. If you go out with someone on a date, probably a girl, you go out with a guy on a date, and he's just sitting there like, oh, abeg, make this girl chop, make I begin dey go, no be food you can't eat, right? At the end of the day, you realize that their general body position might either encourage you or discourage you from continuing the conversation, right? Or you're talking to somebody and they have like a very tired facial expression, more like they are bored out of their existence, but they're just respecting you by sitting down there. At the end of the day, you realize that most times people say more without words than they do with words. All right. So, as a professional, you need to understand your own self as a person. What is your body language communicating? Now, I use this picture of a sports event to show us the facial expression of this lady. Now, I'm sure that we can see how she's looking anxious, right? Her face actually communicates that she's expecting something. Do you understand? And if you look at this man here on this wig, you also see that his face is expressing that he's expecting something. But I think because this lady is closer, you can look at her facial expression and you realize that, oh, this lady is actually anxious about the outcome of that particular move, or if they are going to score and all of that. Now you can actually, without even hearing her speak, understand that, oh, this person is actually anxious, right? This person is actually expectant. This person is actually looking forward to an outcome. And that's the same way our facial expression communicates to people. Now, this lady did not talk, but if you look at her face, you can see that, man, this woman is actually, wanting her, maybe the team that she's supporting, to score the goal. Now, if you look at her body posture too, you can see that she's geared forward and her fists are folded, right? Meaning that it's anticipation. She's anticipating something. Now, imagine somebody should just make a mental imagination of what her body language will communicate if they score. Obviously, her hands will be freed, she'll be cheering, her face will be more relaxed, there might even be a smile on her face, or a laughter or happiness or something, right? But in all of these moments, she didn't say a word, right? She might just say goal, or cheer or celebrate, but she literally did not say anything. But anybody looking at her can actually see that this person's expression is communicating something. This person's face is saying something, right? That's the same way our everyday expressions either tell people whether we are interested in. Right now, coming to the second point, which is facial expressions. These are smiles, frowns, raised eyebrows, and other actions, just like what we can see on this woman's expression. Right now, tone of voice, this is the pitch, volume, and pace of your speech, which can imply enthusiasm, seriousness, or frustration. Now, even if we're talking about non-verbal communication, right, there's a way somebody will be talking to you, and probably you're just listening, and you're giving off this that bored kind of are you serious? Like you're obviously telling the person, please stop, let me rest, or please go home, or please just keep quiet, right? But then a lot of people do not understand the messages that people are trying to communicate. Most times too, it's very important that as a professional you try not to talk too much, because when you talk too much, you take people out of the natural element that makes them want to pay attention to what you're saying, right? So I hope that is clear. Now the second one is eye contact. This shows attentiveness and confidence, while fostering trust and engagement. Eye contact is a form of non-verbal communication, and it's a very great way of expressing confidence. Have you ever spoken to somebody and they're looking at you eyeball to eyeball? You that is even saying the thing, you start getting scared, like, oh, when you blink now, what is this one? But at the end of the day, you realize that when a person is talking to you, or they're having a conversation with you, and you're looking at them eyeball to eyeball, you're not saying anything, but you're actually communicating to the person that, oh, I'm present in this conversation, or oh, I'm attentive, or oh, I'm listening to you, right? But imagine a situation where you're having a conversation with someone, and their eyes moving up and down, their eyes, anything that pass, they're looking at it. Are you hearing me? Yes, yeah. Oh, yes, yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you, my dear. Don't mind me. You will not laugh one foolish laugh. What do you want the person to feel? Obviously, the person will feel like, oh, probably this person is not interested in what I'm saying. Now, as professionals, or when you are in a team meeting, or probably when you are having a conversation with your stakeholders or your fellow team members, right? It is important that you look them eyeball to eyeball, right? If they are like in a round table, you can actually, segment the eye contact maintenance. First of all, when you start your introduction, right, you're trying to give people a breakdown into what to expect. Then if you're maybe looking at when you want to present your first point, you can look at the person by your left, right? If that is closer to you, you try to tell him the point face to face, right? From that person, you move to the next person, you move to the other person. Everybody can feel that you are in charge of the room. Do you understand? Now, one thing with eye contact maintenance is that it communicates like dominance, that you are in charge, that, oh, you know what you're doing, that you are sound. But when a person is looking left, right, and center, you feel like, this person is either distracted, or this person is lying. Do you understand? There are two things involved. When a policeman wants to catch a thief, he first of all looks at how much this person is focused on him, right? Even though you cannot always use that as a yardstick to measure attentiveness, right? But most times you will find out that the more a person looks at you, to your eyes, the more you are able to detect if they are lying or not, right? But when a person is scared of looking at you eyeball to eyeball, there's a huge percentage that they have something to hide. It often always happens like that. Right now, imagine when you were much younger, your sibling or your parents, if they want to catch you, maybe you stole money or you stole meat from the pot, all of those childhood things that all of us did, including me that is teaching you. At that time, I like meat, I like stew meat. So I'll just, when they give me meat, I'll go to my mommy pot and say, oh, this chicken is calling my name. Especially Christmas chicken, when they season it, everything is all sauced and all of that. But one day, I did not know that there is this, okay, let me have a little moment of vulnerability here. So there is this part of the meat that are reserved for parents, like fathers, this chicken bomb bomb. There's this chicken bomb bomb that they used to keep for parents, right? Especially fathers, for people that are from the Igbo culture, right? So I did not know the part of the meat that is for parents. And then I opened the pot. I saw that meat. It was just looking at me from the pot. I said, "My God, my God, my God, you cannot forsake me today. If I perish, I perish." You know, I took the meat, oh, took the meat. I ate it. It was so nice. I even used the chivita they gave me to wash it down. I pushed it down, and I was happy that I ate extra meat. Only for 5 minutes, I be 20 minutes later, my mom went to the pot, said she wants to give my daddy that particular meat. Oh, she scattered the pot. You know that these African parents, they know how to mark meat. I don't know if you people know that African parents know how to mark meat. But she marked that meat though. Only for her to come and say, who ate this particular meat? Everybody look front, including me. I was looking front too. Is the communication trainer that ate meat? I was I was looking front. But what had that caught me was that they asked my brother, his face was so straight. He said, "I'm not the one. I mean, I didn't take the meat. I've been in my room since. My younger sister, I'm not the one. I didn't take it." They asked me, "Come and see my eye." I was looking around. It's as if, it was as if the meat was just moving around my body. Right? It was so embarrassing. My mommy said, "You are the one that ate the meat." I tried everything. I comport myself and act like I did not eat that meat. But at the end of the day, my eye contact gave me out. My mom caught me. She knew I was the one. I sat down on Christmas Day for a sermon of 30 minutes preaching to me about why I should not steal meat again. It was even the sermon that made me vow in my life that if this sermon is for meat, then what will happen if I commit something else that is bigger than meat? So, what I'm trying to say in essence is that non-verbal communication has a way of giving us out, right? It either tells people whether you're confident or you're not confident. And most times, the way you look, the way you sit, the way you stand communicates a lot to people and tells them what is going on internally, right? And if you are confident. Now, why non-verbal communication is important, right? But before we get into that, now let's look at this picture here, right? The way the lady is looking into the man's eyes and the smile on her face, you can see that she's excited, she's happy, she's very comfortable talking to the guy. Do you understand? You can see that her communicates love, right? You can see the way she's looking at the man with so much attention and attentiveness, and then the smile on her face also says that, "Oh, I'm enjoying your conversation," or "I just feel comfortable around you as a person." You can see the way her face is looking very relaxed. You see that she's not bored. She's not in that position where she wants to go home, or she's just into the conversation, and her eye contact with the man also shows that she's paying attention to him and she's focused. Right now, this is just to try to buttress what I shared previously, that when you look at people, it tells them whether you are interested in what they are saying or not. Now, why is non-verbal communication important? The first one is that it supports verbal messages by reinforcing the meaning of spoken words, right? There's a way somebody will tell you, "I love you," you self, you will not want anybody to tell you, "I love you" again in this your life, because their actions are not corresponding with their reactions, right? Their facial expression is not corresponding with the words that they are communicating. Do you understand? But there's a way a person will look into your eyes and speak to your soul, right? It's called speaking to someone's soul. There's a way you speak to a person's soul when you are telling them certain words. They would not have any reason not to believe you, because your words have already brought life into the whole conversation. But the same way somebody would either be talking to you in a romantic way, and you tell yourself that if this thing is romance, I'm never going to be romantic again in my life, God forbid, right? Now, the second one is it reveals emotion by providing insight into the feelings or attitudes that may not be explicitly stated, right? It reveals emotions. Your body language is a revealer of emotions. It tells people what you're feeling inside. It tells people the state of your internal emotions. It tells people what is going on within you, right? There's a way I'll be talking to you now. I can actually ask you, "Are you hungry?" Because that's the first thing that communicates displeasure. I remember in one of our classes, I told us that before you go for a presentation, please eat. I know why I always emphasize on eating, because food is important in this life, right? So they say when you be talking to somebody or you are in a meeting, even you yourself, you wouldn't know that your facial expression is actually giving off discomfort. And then the person that is talking, there are some people that when you are making a presentation and you see their face, you will make a conscious effort not to look at their face again until you leave that presentation, because they are not happy, they are frowning, their face is so tight, their eyebrows are arched, they're looking at you like, who is this idiot? You know, at the end of the day, you'll be asking yourself, this thing that I'm saying, is it that it's not making sense, or is it that I did not study this thing properly? Do you understand? Because this person is making you feel very uncomfortable with their verbal, their non-verbal expressions. Have you ever gone for a conference and everybody is sitting on their chair, like they're sitting, they're adjusting themselves? You're wondering, what's going on now? Can't see people just be calm and listen to me? It's either, you're not getting their attention anymore, or they're probably tired of the length or the duration of your presentation. Now let's go over to the last one. It says it creates connection by building rapport and enhances mutual understanding in conversations. Now, do you know that there's a way that you'll be talking to somebody and they either hold your hand or they're just looking at you directly? You will feel like this person is hearing your heart talk, right? There's something called heart-to-heart conversation. This heart-to-heart conversation that we're talking about, it's not when your heart come out and my own heart come out that you call it heart-to-heart conversation. No, it's that when you are talking to this person, you can feel how much of this person is present in the conversation. It happens to the best of us, that you are talking to somebody and the person already feels that you so understand them, right? There's a way that you have a misunderstanding with somebody and you guys eventually fix probably a makeup meeting, or you just want to talk things out kind of meeting, and you're expressing from your soul how this action made you feel. Even without saying a lot, that person can see through your physical disposition that what they did really hurt you. Sometimes, right, it's not shouting that makes people realize that you were hurt. Your behavior really got to me. Most times, don't need to shout for a person to know that you are upset. Sometimes too, when a person is silent for so long, it's a way of them communicating that your action either hurt me so dearly, or I did not expect such behavior from you, right? And most times, a lot of people would rather not talk about it than talk about it and lose their temper, because in the heat of the moment, a part of them is hurting. So we have to realize that sometimes not getting a feedback is a form of feedback on its own. It's just like this thing that they say, if you don't want to say something for somebody, you use price and chase them, right? So sometimes when somebody is not saying anything to you, it's a form of them also telling you that day your day make I day my day. I have to use colloquial to say this one, right? It's a way of them telling you, rest, let me self rest. Do you understand? So you have to understand at per second what a person is trying to communicate without saying a word, right? Without even in a professional setting, there's a way you repeatedly perform badly, right? Your teammate or your team member will stop talking to you, they'll stop shouting, they are just quiet. But you yourself, you know that it's better that they scream at you than to keep quiet. Because if a person consistently corrects you and they stop correcting you, it's either they are waiting to lay you off or they are already looking for a substitute. Right now, I'll give us a story. So fast forward in January, where I'm currently working now. Then I was more like an intern, right? And somebody came to the office, right? I like to keep the office a bit private because of the personality of the establishment. So somebody came to the office and randomly he just started talking to me, and then I said, oh, I'm a communications trainer, I'm also a business writer. And he was like, oh, speaking of a business writer, I'm looking for a business writer. The person we have in our office or in the organization, I've been looking for a way to lay him off, but then I've been enjoying him because I've consistently made corrections and I'm exhausted. The way I pinched myself, I pinched myself that I almost bled. Now, why did I pinch myself? It made me understand that a person can be tolerating you until they find an alternative. And as a professional, you need to pay attention to this person that is correcting me. When they stop correcting me, what is this thing communicating? Are they saying your days are numbered, or they are saying I'm giving you room to improve, or they are saying work on this thing, otherwise you'll be replaced, right? So you have to understand, what is this silence communicating, or what is my team members body language towards me communicating, or what is my team lead's disposition towards me communicating, right? So you have to also pay attention to all these things, because it helps in determining how you make your decisions and how you make adjustments towards the things that you are doing correctly or the things that you are doing wrongly. All right, so let's go over to the next slide. Now, what we have here is how nonverbal cues affect professional interactions. In professional settings, nonverbal communication significantly impacts how you are perceived and how effectively you collaborate. Now, let me tell you one thing with collaborating with people, right? A person, you can be talking to somebody, but they know that you are not with them, and it affects the way they want to relate with you, because they see you as somebody who is naturally very distracted. Now, the truth is that your team members or your teammates are emotional people. There's a reason why in almost all our classes I've been talking about people being emotional, because we oftentimes remove people's emotions from them being a human being. The truth is, every human being functions from a place of emotion first, right? So in effective collaboration, the emotions have to be in sync. It means that the energy you're bringing and the energy your team member or your teammate is bringing should match to take the project to where it ought to be. If you are bringing a high energy and your teammate is bringing a bored energy, over time you now tell yourself, I beg, make I day my day. Which kind of energy is this? I'm trying to see how I can push this company forward, and this person is actually, giving me the vibe like I'm doing too much. There are people that give you this, go calm down vibe, like it's like this company belongs to your father, or are you the only one that is trying to have a good name and stuff like that. So you have to understand what this person's body language is communicating and how it affects or negates what's it called, how it affects or negates collaboration, right? Now, for instance, positive nonverbal cues, they include open body language. When you stand or sit upright with relaxed shoulders and uncrossed arms, it conveys approachability and confidence, right? Sometimes a person can fold their arms in order to feel their heart beat, like their heart is beating so much that they need to be sure that the heart will not burst. And so most times when you see a person crossing their arms, it's a way of them trying to communicate that they are scared. But have you ever gone to a room? Let me have a little moment of woman to woman conversation with my ladies in the chat, right? Have you ever gone to a party or an event and you see two guys, right? One is sitting down confidently, he's pressing his phone, he's smiling calmly, and then there's another one that almost wants to enter under the table. Which one will you be attracted to first? Let's be honest. Somebody should put it in the chat box. I know that there are women here and you understand what I'm trying to say. Men, please don't be angry. Somebody should put in the chat box which of the guys you'll be attracted to first. Hey, I've seen a comment. Confident one, good. It happens to the best of us. Okay, so yesterday I went to Dev Fest, right? I went for Dev Fest in the city where I am, and the reason why I went there was because I wanted to network with founders. And when I see founders, I know founders, because most of them, they are so used to being at events that their disposition naturally tells you that, oh, this person has come from a place of experience. Maybe it's because it's something that happens naturally or a natural instinct, right? But there were some persons I walked up to, and if I just introduced myself and I said, I know you're a founder. They said, how did you know? The conversation just went on and on, because even without having a conversation with them, their body language already put up a disposition that, oh, this person is coming from a place of assurance. You understand? According to the Nigerian colloquial, they say money there in pocket. Money gives you some kind of confidence that even without speaking to you, people just know that you have money. Do you understand? So it communicates a whole lot. Our body disposition communicates a whole lot. Now, consistent eye contact, it indicates attentiveness and honesty. I remember, just like if you remember the story I shared, because I didn't keep eye contact, They knew I was the one that stole the meat from the pot. I've repented. No more stealing meat. You know? Now, one facial expressions, smiling or nodding, signals agreement, empathy, and engagement, right? Facial expressions, it signals, agreement, it signals empathy, it signals engagement. Do you understand? Now, what is empathy? Empathy means being able to feel the emotions of another person without judgment, because it becomes sympathy when you are feeling it and you are judging or you are pitying them. Do you understand? But empathy is feeling the emotions of another person without judging them. In your mind, you genuinely put yourself in their shoes and you ask yourself, if I was the one, how will I feel? Do you understand? Now, these things help us become better professionals. Now, if somebody is pitching an idea to you and you're smiling or you're nodding, you encourage the person to continue. But then you go for an event, for instance, and somebody is talking to you and you are already trying to discharge them. All of those discharge attitudes, they are talking to you, you're signaling your teammate, hello, hello. So if a human being is standing in front of you trying to speak to you, you're calling somebody from at the end of the day, the person will just quietly walk away from you. Or when they see you and somewhere else, they will just feel like, oh, let this person just stay in their lane because they really didn't pay attention to me, right? So if a person is talking to you and probably they are sharing a problem or they are sharing an idea, the way you nod your head or the way you even look into their eyes, sometimes it depends on the relationship. The way you can even pat the person on the shoulder, right, gives them that assurance that, okay, this person is for me, this person is with me, this person understands what I'm going through. All right, so I hope that is self-explanatory. Then the next thing is how nonverbal cues affect professional interactions. Okay, this is the continuation. Now, the negative nonverbal cues, right? Avoiding eye contact. This may suggest disinterest, discomfort, or dishonesty. We've already explained that when somebody is having a conversation with you and you're looking around or you're admiring somebody's shoes, or they're telling you something and next thing you say is, oh more, see that fine sneaker. The person is looking at you like, is it not you I'm talking to? How is your eye going to sneaker? The person will feel like you're not interested, and it gives off a negative vibe. It gives off an uninterested vibe. It makes the person feel like you're wasting, they are wasting their time. Do you understand? Now, another negative non-verbal cue is fidgeting. This can indicate nervousness or impatience. Now, impatience is something that we don't know we have until we are tested, right? A lot of the time, why do you think that couples, especially men, will say, this my wife, she'll be in the house from morning till night. When I say go out, she'll now spend 2 hours only drawing her eyebrow. The man did not know that he was impatient until it was time for them to go out. Do you understand? And the same thing also happens in our teams as professionals. Probably a person is supposed to, write or pen down something or make a post or probably send a document across, and maybe there's a delay that they have not communicated to you. You're already getting frustrated, you're already angry. To you, this person is wasting your time, right? To you, you're already fidgeting, your body is hot, you want to give it to them hot, until you hear from them and you realize that, oh, this thing was not even an intentional act. It might have been a network delay, or probably a power outage delay, or maybe they experience a gadget malfunction. Something could have happened that warranted the person to behave like that. Do you understand? Now, nervousness, right? Nervousness can also come from a place of probably you don't know what to expect. You're going for a presentation, you have crammed the script. Although we are going to be talking about what's it called? Building confidence in communication in the next lesson, right? But then I want us to understand that nervousness is a natural human feeling. It happens to the best of us. In fact, proven that even world-class presenters or world-class professional communicators, the first 5 minutes of the presentation, they always struggle. It happens to even me that is teaching you right? But mine has been reduced from 5 minutes to like a second or a minute, because I've been able to learn how to put my mind and my soul in something, irrespective of how I feel, right? That is a skill on its own. Learning emotional management, knowing how to manage your emotions as a human being, is a skill you need as a professional, because most times a lot of professionals have either lost their job or lost good, professional relationships because they could not manage their emotions at the time, and they now transfer their personal problems into the professional space, and it bridge the gap in the relationship, right? So where are we? Right, closed posture. We have talked about fidgeting. Now we are going to closed posture. Crossing your arms or turning away might signal defensiveness or disagreement, right? These are types of non-verbal cues, especially for people who will transition into becoming team leads. To and then you'll be working with younger professionals or people that are just getting into the professional space. You need to understand these non-verbal cues and what they are communicating, right? When a person has a closed posture, what does it mean? It can mean defensiveness. It can also mean disengagement, right? It can mean that, oh, this person is being defensive. What is a closed posture? They are crossing their arms or they are turning away, like you're talking to them and they are looking elsewhere. Sometimes it can be that, oh, they have not yet learned how to look people in the eye. But most of the time, when a person has a closed posture, they are either being defensive or they are not interested, right? They are either being defensive or they are not interested. Now, in client or stakeholder meetings, right? Non-verbal cues in client or stakeholder meetings. Now, a confident handshake, maintaining eye contact, and a composed demeanor creates a positive first impression. Most of the time, especially for people that need to meet their clients physically, when you meet your client and you have a good handshake, oh, nice to meet you, my name is Mary Godokoye, that alone is a good first impression, right? A handshake that conveys confidence. They say when you shake somebody, the person know that it's a human being that shook them. And they say when you shake somebody, the person will be asking, is it vegetable that shook me or water leaf that shook me? Because your hands are not even, the enzymes in your body are not transmitting life, because you've indirectly or directly used fear to kill all the organs in your body, because you're not confident in yourself, and that's not nice, right? Now, a confident handshake, maintaining eye contact, and a composed demeanor creates a positive first impression. This thing they say that you never have a second chance to rewrite a first impression. Now, when you want to create a positive first impression, especially for people that will go about to pitch their companies, right? It is important that you maintain eye contact, tell people what you do, and own it. If I'm telling you that I'm a communications trainer, I'm not telling you because it's something I studied in school. No, I'm telling you because I own it. I have mastered it and it's now a part of me, right? If you're telling somebody that you are a designer, don't tell them that you are a designer because of a 2 minutes Udemy course you took or a Coursera course you took and they gave you certificate. No, tell them that you are a designer because of experience. They say when you will be so experienced in your field that when you tell somebody this is what I do, the person can feel the confidence from your voice, and then whenever they put you to test, you will not disappoint, right? Now, mirroring the client's non-verbal cues subtly can build rapport and alignment. Do you understand? Now, what does that mean? If the client is seated upright, you also sit upright. You're talking, professional to professional, not when the client is seated upright, then you are slumped into the chair, like you probably did not eat before you came out, or maybe this man's mouth is smelling, or maybe you're just not giving the vibe that the professional can use in continuing the conversation with you. And you also, as a professional, consciously ask yourself, what cues am I giving off? What cues is my sitting position giving up? They say when a woman will sit there, she'll be sitting like somebody that she's not even in the environment, let alone is her spirit even on the chair that she's sitting on. Do you understand? Probably she has probably been in that subconscious mood for a long time, that she now sit down and open her legs. Then people now tell her, madam, close your basket. She now say, oh, thank you. It doesn't make any sense because you are losing yourself as a human being. And one thing I always tell us, or one thing I told us in our previous classes, always practice mindfulness. Be mindful of yourself as a human being. It helps you stay in check, especially when you go out and you meet people. You don't know when a question will come at you. You don't know when somebody will throw something at you. And if you're not present, you will struggle to gather yourself. But the moment you practice mindfulness as a professional, you always know how to come prepared. You always know that you are in this game of life to what? To rule and to dominate. One thing you need to understand as a professional is that the professional world is very competitive. Nobody really cares about you. Everybody's out there to grab the money. So if a person is going to use their confidence to steal the show, you too use your own confidence and steal the show. If they greet you, greet them back. If they shake you, shake them very well. Do you understand? Don't act like, oh, you're the one that they escorted to the event, or you're the one that came to carry baby in this country. You didn't. Nobody came to carry baby, my guy. Everybody is out here to survive. Everybody's out here to make money. This is the truth about being a professional. It's a competitive field. Why do you think that a lot of people run away from platforms like LinkedIn? Everybody's happy to announce. There's nothing you want to announce. Depression wants to kill you because you feel like in this profession you're not really making the mark. But then you don't need social media to validate yourself. One thing I always tell you is do good work, build and be strong. By the time you've built yourself to a certain level, people will now refer to you. You don't need to start introducing yourself. People will start doing the introduction for you, and that's where you should get to. But one thing is crucial in getting there is master your craft. Be good at what you do. Own your craft, own your skill, right? That's the only way you can exude confidence and you can be able to approach anything life throws at you. Now, the second point is non-verbal cues in team collaboration. Active listening is enhanced with supportive gestures like nodding or leaning forward. Avoid rolling eyes or displaying frustration, as this can disrupt team dynamics. Probably there's a stand-up meeting or a brainstorming session for the guys that do the whole design thing and the whole software engineering thing. There's always a long session of brainstorming. There's always a long session of reading design briefs and trying to understand what is happening, or mood boarding and all of those things. Those things require a lot of attentiveness. But don't be the person that will now frustrate the team with your rolling of your eyes or displaying frustration or tiredness or not being interested. People can read your energy just by how you position yourself. If you're not interested, people can read that you're not interested by your body language. Right now, let's look at some practical examples. The first one is when delivering a presentation. Use powerful handshake gestures to emphasize key points. Use powerful handshake and gestures to emphasize key points. Do you understand? Use powerful hand gestures to emphasize key points. Use powerful hand gestures to emphasize key points. Do you understand? Now, when you're making a presentation, you have to understand that you are in charge of the atmosphere. It is your energy that will influence the people in the congregation. It's just like when you go for an event and the MC is very boring, or the MC is talking like he finished fighting with his wife and came out to do a master of ceremony. The compass energy affects the congregation. So let me give us a little backstory. Fast forward to 2 years ago, before I started anchoring international conferences, right? The first time somebody told me that, Marigold, you speak so well, I want you to anchor an event. I flushed. I was downright flushed because my very concern was, how will I carry the crowd? How will I carry these people along? It's not a presentation. There are no slides. It has to come from your head, right? And that was like my biggest fear and my biggest challenge as a professional. But one thing I realized is this: the moment you step into the show, you own the show. Do you understand? And this comes from a place of knowing your onion. My major concern was that, it was a first time experience, but then I didn't let that thing stop me. I saw it as a challenge to do better. And that's why, as a professional, don't have a closed mind, right? A closed mind is a mind that tells you, this is where I put this stop in my professional career. I'm a designer, now there you end. I'm not learning how to probably design engines or design any other thing. I'm a designer, front, what they call it again, product designer is there that I'm there. Or probably you now decide to be a UI designer and there's UX by the side. Why not do UI UX and become, a holistic professional? And that's the whole idea behind the Law Academy. We saw that professionals have technical skills, but what of soft skills? How do they balance being technically savvy with being, emotionally intelligent, or with being able to handle human beings? And that was the idea behind creating the Law Academy, to bring a holistic experience. Now, one thing you need to do as a professional is to be a holistic professional in your field. What is the zenith of my skill, right? What is the zenith of this skill that I have? If I'm a data analytics or analysis, data analytics, right? What is the zenith of this skill? Is there any software that I need to master that will keep me at the global standpoint? Now, the truth is that we are competing globally, especially for Nigerian creatives or Nigerian professionals. The global space is not friendly for us because they feel like, man, we are the third world country. We don't really have anything to offer. And that's why we have to come correct, right? When you're coming correct, it means that you own your craft, master your craft, and make sure that when you are doing your job, you do your job to the letter. There are no rooms for, please, make excuses for me, my gen have off, my NEPA have exploded this thing. Doesn't make any sense. It's never going to make any sense because people don't care. That's the truth. Especially when you are working with stakeholders or, organizations that are multinationals. They don't care. Go and steal gen from somebody if you have to steal. But keep your devices on and get the job done, right? Don't steal. Don't say it's me that told you to steal. Not there. They beat you. You end up in Kirikiri. Don't call me. Right? Don't call me. Now, where did I stop? Right. Maintaining a steady tune and volume to project authority and confidence. Now, when you are presenting, don't let your voice move like someone that is singing alto in church. When you start, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mary. I want to tell you that communication is okay. So, as I was saying, what is that? Learn how to keep your tune steady. Keep your voice steady, right? And how do you do this? Practice speaking in the mirror, right? Look at your mirror and talk. Get used to your voice. Because we chat a lot, we sometimes when we talk, you're asking yourself, oh, is it me that is talking? Okay, it's me. Because you are not used to hearing yourself talk. Technology is good, but technology has killed verbal communication because most of the time our methods of communication are through chat. Let's chat. I'll chat you on WhatsApp. I'll chat you, chat everywhere. But your voice is dying. You're losing your vocals, right? Practice how to maintain a steady voice. Practice how to maintain a steady pitch. It helps you, especially when you are doing presentations, so you don't sound like a broken vessel, right? Now, the second thing is when handling conflict. This one is very important because, like I always say, conflicts are inevitable in teams and personal relationships. Because I am somebody that likes to balance my teaching, I don't only keep it in professional setting. I also try to let you see how these things affect your personal relationships, because communication is a life skill. It's not just a work skill. It is a life skill. It is a survival skill. If you do not know how to communicate, most of the time you will not know how to sell yourself. Most of the time you will not also know how to maintain relationships, right? So when handling conflict, keep an open posture and maintain a calm tune to de-escalate tension. Now, what is de-escalating tension? A place is already tensed, emotions have run high, and then you not being able to keep your tune down can even take the quarrel longer than necessary. Because if you are talking to a man, for instance, he will not tell you, are you shouting at me? Don't you know I'm the head of the family? By the time you know it, neighbor is knocking on your door because you people did not know how to de-escalate tension. By de-escalating tension, sometimes a simple I'm sorry can do all the magic, right? By the time you've told somebody sorry and they are still shouting, they are the childish one, because you've done your part, you've apologized, and you're staying calm. In a professional setting, the same thing is applicable, right? If you are having a conversation with your team member or an argument ensues, and you see that if you continue having this argument, it is going to affect your day, it is going to affect your productivity, it's going to affect your relationship with that person. It is also going to affect how the company sees you, because reputation in a company is very important. Let me tell us something, right? You don't know that people vet you or value you based on how they see you, especially in a professional setting. Don't be the professional that carries your family problem to work. Oh, my bank account just is red, is red, is red, is red. Everybody's bank account is red except your own and my own, in Jesus' name. Let's use faith. But let's be realistic. People go through hard times, but don't wear it on your shoulders, because this is how people would either respect you or they start disrespecting you. Learn how to keep personal problems personal. All right. So that is that about that. When handling conflict, show empathy through facial expressions and body language. When you are having a misunderstanding with somebody and the problem or the fault is from you, acknowledge that is your fault. Do you understand? Sometimes we let our ego get into, the whole thing, and it spoils everything, because in the part of acknowledging that you were wrong, you invariably solve half of the problem. For instance, a person is telling you, I don't like how you spoke to me, or I don't like how you said that word, or that comment didn't sit well with me. Show empathy. Put yourself in that person's shoes. If somebody comes to tell you, oh, you constantly make bad designs, and it's not because you constantly make bad designs. It can actually be, you're having some challenges at home that is affecting your productivity. How would you feel? Do you understand? So when you're speaking to people, always put yourself in that person's shoes. And when they are trying to solve a conflict that you caused, please and please be empathic and ask yourself, if somebody said this thing to me, how would I take it? All right. So I hope that answers that. Right. So we've come to the end of today's class, and I would like to believe that we have questions before we quickly move into the next class, because today is a marathon of classes. We're not in class yesterday, and I really felt bad because the festive season will soon befall us, right? And I wouldn't want a situation where we are all in our Father Christmas mood and the academy is telling you to come to class. I don't want that. So once the year is rounding up, I also appreciate that people can go to their various, homes, various engagements and all of that. So please, if you have any questions, right? If you have any questions before we move over to the next class, which is building confidence in communication, I hope somebody made mention of that being the reason why she actually, I think it's Sekibo. I know that my memory does not fail me. Sekibo, are you on the call? Please, if you're on the call, unmute yourself and let me know that you're on the call.
Yes, I
Okay, yeah. So I remember the conversation we had, and you said that you wanted to learn how to build confidence in communication, right?
yes, yes, I did.
Okay, so that's the next class. I wanted to be sure that you are in today's class, because
Okay.
that class is for you. I wanted to be very sure that you are in today's class. Yes. So you can mute yourself. Thank you. I just wanted to confirm that you were available, because I know that you mentioned that. So please, if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat, right? If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat. I have questions, but I'm not going to ask at the moment because I'm looking at my time and I want us to immediately go into the next class. So that, let me say, give or take 8:40, we should be done with the second class so that we can now entertain questions at once, right? If that makes sense, please somebody should let me know. Or you want us to attend to questions now, then move to the next class. I need to get your vote. Want to ask questions. If you have, somebody should please, be confident enough. We're talking about confidence. Somebody should confidently say what they want now, because left for me alone, I would choose that we just go to the next class. Is somebody hearing me at all, please? Okay, I can see a comment here. Okay, you said let's finish the class, the Okay, thank you. You said let's continue with the classes. Okay, that's fine. Let's go on with the next class. Okay, yeah, tomorrow is Monday, right? I don't want to keep us longer than necessary. But those on YouTube, me, can you people still hear me? Because I think my network is a bit unstable today, and that's very unlike my network. The people on YouTube, how is it at your end so that I know what I'm doing, please? Can somebody from the YouTube end just tell me, is the how is the network over there, right? So that I know that everybody is following me, because right now I'm in StreamYard and okay, you can hear me. All right, thank you very much. So let's go over to the next class, right? So that we can um ask questions at once. So please, can you confirm that you can see my screen? Building confidence in communication. Please, who can see my screen? Uh-oh, nobody. Uh, okay. Remove this. Whew. So just give me a minute, please. Let me share my screen doing today. So share. All right. So yes, please, can somebody confirm that they can see my screen? Can you people see my screen? Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. So we're looking at building confidence in communication. Now, this is a very interesting topic. Why? Because confidence is one thing that people cannot take away from you, right? There's something that my intro tech teacher used to tell me when I was in secondary school. He would say, what you know, nobody can take it away from you. And that thing has stuck in my head. Now, confidence is confidence is something that every human being must have. It controls how you believe in yourself, right? A lot of the time, professionals who have great ideas lack the confidence to push those ideas forward. Now, I'd like to tell us a little personal story about the Law Academy before I continue. When I got the vision in my spirit that communication is something I've mastered over time. I've been speaking in public since I was 8 in my church. I was so small. Church presentation, anything that has to do with speaking, I've always been there. And then growing up into taking classes, anytime I see any course that has to do with communication, I'm very excited. Then I now had to learn how to fine-tune my diction, right? And all of those personal development processes. And then I now because I started working very early, I started working in the professional sector as at when I was in year one, because I believe that I did not need anybody to take care of me. I just had that independent mindset right from when I was a child, right? So I always felt like I need to have money so that I can be able to take care of myself, take care of my needs, buy the things I want, and obviously not sell my body to get money and stuff like that. So when I became very serious about building the Law Academy, I spoke to some of my friends and I'm like, look at this idea that I have. Oh, I want to start teaching communication to professionals, right? I feel like this is a problem that exists and professionals really struggle with this thing. They laughed at me, like categorically. They're like, this is not the UK. You're not in the UK. These things only fly in the UK. Make money in Nigeria. You're already making money for yourself. Keep making money, build money, go to the UK and probably do your thing in the UK. I'm like, no, you don't need to be in the UK to actually build your dream. Some people told me I was a big dreamer, right? Fast forward to when the law academy started getting traction. Those people that were telling me that, oh, this dream only flies in the UK, are the ones that now come and tell me, Mary Gold, how far now? You're not putting any course. I beg, I won't come learn. Oh, I want to come and learn. Oh, speak me into your class now. Please now, get a slot for me. Can I have a personal training with you? Yada, 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 yada. What am I trying to say? Confidence is something that even beyond, making presentations, you need to be confident in yourself as a human being, that come what may, I am good, I am good. That thing alone has taken you 50% into solving a problem, or into, scaling through a challenge, than any school can do for you, right? Why do you think that some people go to school and become useful? Not because of what they studied. Probably they tuned into their natural gifting and they enhanced it. So before we get into today's class, I need us to actually understand that not just in speaking, but as a human being, building confidence is a must. You must be so confident in what you do that letting people talk you down is a no-no. And then one thing that is very important is stop seeking validation early. Oh, probably you started taking classes on communication and you are still struggling, and now I'm gonna tell somebody, how am I speaking now? How's my intonation, right? How am I speaking? Am I doing phone? You don't need it. Focus on mastering the skill. When you master the skill and you do it repeatedly, it becomes a part of you that people will not start complimenting you. But trying to force compliment or trying to validate yourself, or probably you just did one design, next thing now you rush, oh, competing with Davy White. I know there's a designer called Davy White. You are still in your elementary stages. So perfect your elementary stages and build confidence in your skill. All right, so let's get into today's class, building confidence in communication. Now, building confidence in communication is a gradual process that involves preparation, practice, and self-awareness. Now, what is self-awareness? The ability to know yourself and own yourself. A lot of people know themselves, but they don't own themselves. When you own yourself, you know when to tell yourself to stop, right? A lot of people say, nobody can calm me down, including yourself. Until you've mastered the act of being able to calm yourself down, then you have not yet practiced self-awareness. Because in practicing self-awareness, you can tell yourself, stop, and you stop. People will say, when I'm angry, I want to explode the whole house. We know. But if you cannot tell yourself to stop, it's just buffering up and down. Please, can somebody help me confirm that they can still hear me? Either on YouTube or um StreamYard. Please confirm that you can hear me. Oh my God. Okay, you said I'm back now. What's the network is lagging? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So like every other muscle, that's like a continuation of what we're talking about, right? Building confidence in communication is a gradual process that involves preparation, practice, and self-awareness. Now, like every other muscle, speaking confidently is a muscle that can be built and developed with consistency, because excellent communication helps professionals achieve career growth. Now, let me tell us one thing. The ability to speak in public is a muscle, right? Fear is a muscle. Confidence is a muscle. Nothing comes to us on its own. We build those things. It's like magnifying glass. Whatever you dwell on magnifies. Whatever you take your mind off shrinks, right? When you look into a problem and you keep looking at the problem, it keeps magnifying on all ends. But when you decide to look for a way to solve that problem without personalizing the situation, you find out that that problem begins to, shrinking. It begins to decompose. It becomes so small that you now ask yourself, oh, is it this thing I've been troubling myself for? Because you've done what? You've escalated the muscle that makes it look so big, right? And that's the same thing with speaking confidently. It's a muscle that you build, and you build it gradually. All right. Now, what are the tips to develop speaking confidence? Confidence in communication is the key to expressing ideas clearly and persuasively. Developing this skill takes practice, preparation, and the right mindset. With these steps, you'll be able to gradually but consistently build your skills, right? What are the keywords to note here? The first one is practice. It takes practice. What is practice? Um, Being able to constantly put yourself in a position of learning to be confident. What do I mean? If you are somebody that when you are in front of people, you know that, oh, you fidget a lot, why not, volunteer to lead a small group of people? This is how you build, these muscles. Probably you know that if you stand in a crowd of 1,000 people, you will fidget. Why not stand in a crowd of 10 persons? Why not stand in a crowd of 5 people, right? This is how you build the muscle. It takes practice. What's the second thing here? Preparation. The truth is that every global speaker will tell you preparation is 90% of the work. Delivering the work is 10%. You cannot deliver what you don't know. You cannot deliver a presentation that you've not practiced, except you are ready to, disgrace yourself. But until you practice consistently, until you master the act of practicing, every other thing in between will only be a struggle. Because at the end of the day, you would realize that when you do not prepare very well, you will get on stage and you will flop. You cannot give what you don't have, right? And the right mindset, what are you telling yourself? Now, confidence comes from what you feed your mind. Our mind is a very fertile ground. As professionals, this is where imposter syndrome comes in. This is where, the feeling of inadequacy comes in. You start asking yourself, you start questioning yourself. And most times you've spent years doing this thing, you've spent sleepless nights building this thing, but at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, your mindset becomes the one that limits you. Because the first thing you ask yourself is, Mary Gold, are you sure you are even good enough? Hi, are you sure? All this communication trainer thing, are you really good? You will not start asking yourself questions. Hi, this is my design. Have you not seen what other people are designing? Can I say that this thing is a design that I'm proud of? There's always room to improve, quite all right. But never allow your mind to become the burial ground of your dreams. I will say that thing again. Never allow your mind to become the burial ground of your dreams, because your mind is a muscle that you can stretch. It takes mind, like a lot of mind, to be able to succeed in this world that we live in. It takes a lot of mind. Some people call it courage, right? Call it whatever you want to call it, but it is dogged, stubborn determination. Teaching your mind to respect and obey you, because most times we allow our minds to control us, that we become a slave to our minds, right? And that's not proper. Now, how do you build confidence in speaking, especially when you are working in a professional setting, right? Number one is know your content. Be well prepared and knowledgeable about your topic. Practice your points until you feel comfortable with the material. And this brings us back to scripting. I remember in one of our classes, I talked about scripting. Script your presentation, script it. Even there's something they say that the faintest ink is better than the sharpest brain. What does it mean? It means that as little as writing something down, it can be more powerful than telling yourself that you have it in your head. Because when the issues of life come, you will start looking for that thing that you say you have in your head, you can't find it. Now, if you want to go for a presentation, right? You know that, oh, they've given you 20 minutes. Write it down. The truth, why do you think that in as much as it's good to have like learning materials that people can look at, why do you think that having a documented learning material is important for we that are tutors? It gives us direction. It helps us to know what we want to say. Sometimes when you have too many ideas in your head, they start, they start jamming in your head. Let me just use that word. They start fighting in your head. When you have too many ideas in your head, there's a constant battle in your brain between what you want to say, how you want to say it, when you should say it, and those things can destabilize you. So instead of putting yourself in that position, why not script? I have a presentation to do. They've given me 30 minutes. Now, in 30 minutes, how do I stand? How do I start and how do I end? Right? In this 30 minutes, am I going to start with a story? Now, what kind of story am I going to tell? Now, you ask yourself, given this kind of audience, is it better to start with facts? What do they want to hear? For instance, if you're going for a pitch deck presentation, you know that you can start with stories, even if you need to start with stories. But most times, to get their attention better, you start with facts. Did you know that in the tech industry, only 10% of professionals excel? And then you not ask you why, or you say why, due to good communication skills. Now you've gotten their attention, right? So if you don't plan for these things, you don't know where to start from. You can even start with the end of the thing. And at the end of the day, you find out that, oh, the main things you were supposed to say, you didn't say them. Why? Because you don't know your content. It's in your head, but it's not arranged. And the moment it's not arranged, you start struggling with them. All right. So always make sure that you know your content. That's the first thing. The second thing is to practice regularly. Rehearse in front of a mirror. Now, I'm somebody that if before I became very good at speaking, although I started early, but when I started doing intentional speaking, in my former place, I have a big mirror, like big mirror, very big mirror. I stay in front of that mirror for hours. Sometimes, when I used to, then I was staying in my parents' house, and if you're looking for Marigold, they'll tell you go and look for her in front of the mirror. It became like a colloquial, they say, go and look for Marigold in front of the mirror. She's the mirror girl. Because I had to see myself holistically. How do I talk? What hand gestures do I make? What is my face communicating? Right? This is what practice does for you. That's how people get good. You get good by seeing yourself and creating a mental picture, so that when you are in front of people, the image you've built in your head, imagination is called image formation, right? The image you've built in your head based on what you see yourself do consistently reminds you of who you are, right? These things are very little things, but they are very powerful. The ability to create an image about yourself in your head gives you a guide towards being able to tell yourself that Marigold, you are good. Olufemi, you are good. Sekibo, you are good. By the time you consistently tell yourself these things, because you keep doing it, that's the thing. We are not patient enough to practice something, and then we not tell ourselves, oh, it's not working. How long have you stayed with that thing? How long have you owned that thing? Right? Now, practice in front of a mirror, record yourself, or practice with friends, right? Now, join public speaking groups or workshops to enhance your skill. Now, this thing is another very good thing. Volunteer, right? When you are in a place or you join a social club, for instance, volunteer to be the one to do announcements. Volunteer to be the person that would, either share the benediction, or you be the person to, tell the congregation what is going to happen next. It can be within your friends. Now, one thing with building confidence is that start from people you are comfortable with. Let me tell us a little story, right? There was a job I got in a church. I like to keep the name of organizations very private, right? There was a job I got in a church, and how did I get that job? I went to do spoken word presentation, right? I went to do spoken word presentation. But that the day of the event was not even the day I did the event. The day I did the event was in my house. I will call my parents, they will sit down. I will call my siblings, they will sit. I will become the presenter and they were my audience for more than a month. These things are little things, but that are very powerful things, right? Start with people that you are comfortable with, your family members, your siblings. Even if they laugh at you, you know that they are laughing from a place of love, not they are laughing that you don't mess up, that kind of laugh. No, because if you flop in front of people and they laugh, it gets to you more than when your family members are the ones that laugh at you, because they know you, you know them, you're not feeling bad, right? Number three is adopt positive body language. Your posture communicates a lot to your audience. Stand tall, maintain steady eye contact, and use purposeful gestures, right? Now, we've talked about non-verbal communication in the previous class, so I'm not going to dwell so much on this because I believe we already understand what posture does, right? Sitting sluggishly or pressing your phone or having a raised eyebrow, all of these things communicate different things. So I'm not going to dwell on that. Now, I said here, avoid slouching or fidgeting, as this can um, undermine your performance, right? Or your presence. Now, on the next slide, we have tips to develop speaking confidence. Continuation. Number four, start small. Begin by speaking in smaller informal settings before taking on larger audiences. Gradually expand your comfort zone to build confidence over time. Start small, start small. This is how you build confidence. Now, I'm going to ensure that one of these days somebody is going to teach us, right? You teach the class. This is how you build confidence. I'll give you the topic, you create a presentation, and you be the teacher. In fact, that's going to be one of the practice sessions that we'll have. Everybody will have 5 minutes to teach, right? Everybody will have 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It depends on, how many we are and how we are able to present very quickly. But start with this crowd of a few persons. Start with your church of a few persons. Start with your friends of a few persons and grow, right? Start small. The fifth thing is use visual aids. Graphical representations are a good way to keep your audience focused, right? Leverage on slides, charts, or props to support your message and take the focus off yourself. Now, one thing you need to understand, especially when you are going for a pitch presentation, that's one of the classes that we are putting together, but it's not free, right? Pitch deck presentation. One thing you need to understand about making pitches is this: ensure that you have a slide. Ensure that people can look at something but not you. There's this thing when people constantly focus on you, you will ask yourself, what are they even looking at, right? Or probably somebody is looking at you and their friend talks to them, and then they leaning forward and they are looking at you, and probably the person is saying something totally different from not even you or your presentation, and the person is laughing. You will now say, oh, maybe they are laughing at my shoe, or they are laughing at my trouser, or maybe they are laughing at my skirt, or they are laughing at my hand, or they are laughing at my shape. Give people something to look at that is not you. Do you understand? Especially when you are dealing in a professional setting, help people get distracted in a positive way by giving them something to fix their gaze on. If you go for an event and there's a slide, 90% of the time, you're not even seeing the presenter. Your eye is on the slide. What is this person teaching? What am I going to learn? What am I going to jot down? Okay, what am I taking home from this slide? That is it. But if there are no slides and it's just you, people will say, oh, see the way her mouth is moving. Now, wow, see her shoe. No, see her hair. See CEO, see stupid hair that she's carrying. All of those things, those little actions that you did not sort out by having a slide, they cannot use you as the slide. Maybe as you're moving, your trouser is flying. They'll not say, see the way CEO trouser is flying. Do you understand? All of those things. And then maybe somebody is laughing innocently, and you say it's me they're laughing at. It's not you. But since there's no slide, then it's you. It's you they're laughing at, my dear. Enjoy the laugh. They're laughing at you. You know, when they laugh at you, laugh at them back. Don't go and laugh. Oh, I did not say you should laugh. Number 6 is stay authentic, speak in a natural tune, and use language that reflects your personality. Authenticity fosters trust and makes you more relatable. Now, this is one thing a lot of professionals struggle with, right? Especially Nigerian professionals. You want to form British accent that you don't have. That thing is irritating when it's not natural. Please speak from your natural vocal cord. If you have a good accent, or you know how to, use your diction, or you know how to punctuate, what's it called, punctuate better, or you know how to pronounce words very well, it's fine. If you are very good with British English that you can sustain, stay there. But if your British accent is 5 minutes British accent, please be a Nigerian. Own your Nigerian language. But one thing that is important is that you are communicating clearly and people can hear you. Nobody is going to crucify you because you don't have a British accent. No, they will only crucify you when you are forming an accent, and in between the presentation you lose the accent. You go from, my name is Mary Godokoye. I want to tell you that I've been in this communication business for the past 5 years. But then the problem is that if you look at me now, my dear, you will not know that I've been in this thing. Is it not our British accent lady that has switched like this? By the time you know it, you're giving people a reason to believe that you are fake, right? You're giving people a reason to believe that, oh, this thing is school English, oh, it's not English that came from inside, or probably is I wanna be. And that is the worst thing that can happen to you when people classify you as wannabe. This wannabe presenter or this wannabe professional. Be yourself, be original, be authentic. Stick to your natural English, but make sure that you pronounce words correctly. That's where there's a problem. If you don't know how to pronounce words, or if you mispronounce words, that's the issue in communication. But as long as you pronounce words correctly, stop bothering about sounding like Oyibo. Keep it at home. Keep Oyibo in the house. If you cannot sustain it, leave it. Because you will shoot yourself in the leg so badly. And it's worse when you are doing a pitch deck and they ask you question and your voice will now go inside. That is the Oyibo voice. You swallow it by force because they're asking you, okay, give us the statistics of this business. How viable is this idea? And probably in preparing to sound like Oyibo, you did not prepare to, answer questions. Your voice will now go inside. Sir, the thing is, the thing there is, it's not as if I don't know these things. I know it, sir, I know it. They first of all ask themselves, where is this man from? Where are you coming from? Do you understand? So choose an accent that you can sustain and stay there. The best thing is be natural, but pronounce words the way they should be pronounced. All right, so let's move. Okay, I've talked about still authentic. Okay. The next one is overcoming communication anxiety, right? This thing is a very delicate topic. Overcoming communication anxiety. Now, anxiety is a normal human reaction. Even the best speakers still have their first 5 minutes of fear, which gradually goes away. I know I said this earlier, right? The best speakers, the best of the best, Brian Tracy, you name them, these people have their first 5 minutes of fear that gradually goes away. So understand that anxiety is a natural human instinct. Many people experience anxiety when speaking in front of others, but with the right strategies, this fear can be managed effectively. Now, one thing about managing anxiety is you learn how to suppress it. It doesn't always go away, right? And this is one truth that professionals need to hear. Anxiety would always be there. The fear of the unknown will always be there. The fear of, oh, I don't want to make a mistake, it will always be there. One thing is crucial. Know that how do you suppress this emotion, because anxiety is an emotion, and it's an emotion that comes from not wanting to fail, right? Anxiety is an emotion that comes from not wanting to fail and not being sure of what the future holds. So most times when we are in that space of anxiety, it keeps us in a constant battle of emotional turbulence, because it's either you're asking yourself, am I truly good enough, or I don't want to make a mistake, or you're just lost in thought. And in that process of being lost in thought, you invariably lose your composure, right? The first thing is to understand the source of your anxiety. Identify what makes you nervous, whether it's fear of judgment, lack of preparation, or past experiences. Acknowledge your feelings instead of suppressing them. Now, for you to be able to understand something, or for you to be able to suppress something, you need to understand it. Do you understand? You cannot effectively suppress what you don't understand, because it's from a place of understanding that you can now find the right words that you can use in pushing those emotions away. Let me say, for instance, fear is an emotion that, if you don't understand what is triggering this fear, you might not be able to have the right words that will make this fear go away. For instance, if you are afraid of failing, have you failed before? That's the question to ask yourself. A lot of people are scared of relationships. Why? Because they've come from a place of serial failed relationships. So when they get into a new relationship, there is a fear that comes naturally from a place of experience. So understand what you are scared of. If you're having anxiety in presentation, is it an anxiety that was born out of an experience that you had? Probably you went to present something and you forgot yourself, or you forgot what you wanted to say, or probably you were fidgeting and people started laughing at you, and that memory is living with you like a shadow. Anytime you want to present, the first thing you see is, they will laugh at me. Anytime you want to speak in public, the first memory that comes to your head is when they were laughing at you in secondary school. So understand the source of your fear. Why am I afraid? What am I afraid of? Right? Identify it, and then build words that would negate that emotion. The second thing is to prepare thoroughly. Organize your thoughts in advance and create an outline of key points. Practice enough to feel comfortable, but avoid over rehearsing to the point of sounding robotic. Do you understand? One thing about speaking confidently is owning the script, owning the presentation. What am I presenting? One thing that you need to keep in mind is, what do I want people to take home from what I'm saying? If at the end of my presentation 2 or 3 people cannot go home with something, then I did not communicate effectively. In effective communication, the emphasis or the worry should be more on people living without learning anything or gaining anything than how perfect you sounded, right? Organize your thoughts in advance and create an outline of key points. The key point is, let me say, for instance, you want to teach people effective communication. Now, what do they want to hear? How do I organize this thought? Should I start with introduction, or should I start with a story, or should I start from the end and build it up to the beginning, or should I, use a reverse pyramid method? Understand what you want to achieve. This helps you better, package your presentation in such a way that you personalize it without over rehearsing. Because anytime when you over rehearse something, you now start feeling frustrated in that thing. And please, don't cram. Don't cram. Do not cram. Whatever you do in this life as a professional, avoid the spirit of trying to cram anything. If you cram and you forget ease, everything has left your head. Trust me, every single thing has left your head. Only ease ran away, but ease and everything in the presentation left with the ease, because you crammed. You did not own it. You are a robot. You are doing garbage in, garbage out. Don't do that. Don't do garbage in, garbage out. Instead, master your presentation. Look at it from a standpoint of authority. This is what I want to teach these people. First of all, one thing you need to keep in your mind is that nobody knows what you want to say. Nobody knows what you want to teach. Even if your audience have a brief understanding or a background knowledge of what you want to say, they are not in your head. They do not know what you prepared. You are the only one that knows what you prepared. So even when you make a mistake, don't make it obvious that you made a mistake. This is where professionals miss it. You made a mistake. Nobody in the room knows that you made a mistake. But the moment you make a mistake, oh shit, 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 my God, my God. What's that? What's that? What is that? Don't. Because people don't know what you prepared. You are the only one. You are the master of your presentation. You are the architect of this presentation. You are the one that drafted the presentation. So even when you make a mistake, please maintain your steez, right? Except in a situation of when you crammed and you make a mistake. Otilo, I cannot help you in that one because you crammed. And one thing with cramming is that it keeps you under tension. You don't sound natural because you are trying to finish. You're not trying to educate. You have a mentality of, let me, as I put it in, let me give you back. It's back to sender you're doing. Don't do back to sender. Own it. All right? Don't do back to sender. Own the thing. It will stay. The third thing is visualize success. Now, imagine yourself speaking confidently and receiving positive reduce negative thoughts and boost self-assurance. Now, let me tell us one thing. You are as powerful as your thoughts. You are as powerful as the thoughts in your head. One of the reasons why a lot of people think that some, let me say, rich people are proud. They are not proud. They have a mental picture about themselves that keeps them conscious of who they are. And most times, they live in the consciousness of who they are, that even if they don't have money in their bank account, they will never allow you to know, because they've built an aura that projects wealth, that even when you cannot see, how do you know a person is rich? Did you go to their bank account to check how much is inside? No. But most times, the moment a person steps into an environment, the way they possess the environment tells you that this person is coming from a place of confidence. So the same thing happens in your presentation, right? Visualize success. Build a mental image of you succeeding. Visualization is powerful. It is the ability for you to paint pictures, perfect pictures in your head. Life is not perfect, but your paintings can be perfect. Your paintings about your future can be perfect. Your paintings about, what you want your professional output to be can be perfect. And while you work towards perfection, always work with that image in your head. I'm not a good designer now, but I'm getting there. Oh, my communication is shaking now, but I'm getting there. Oh, I want to be able to speak in public. You see yourself speaking in public, and then you make positive steps towards being able to speak in public, because don't dwell too much in your head that you forget to live. Most times, a lot of professionals live in their head, they die in their head, and so do their ideas die in their head. But when you are, making your mental visualizations, also tell yourself that there's work to be done. And that is the reality of understanding that in as much as you visualize success, make conscious efforts to be successful. In as much as you visualize presenting well, make conscious efforts to present well. All right, so let's move to the next thing because of our time. Start with deep breathing exercise. Now, use deep breathing exercises to calm your nerves before and during speaking. Deep, slow breaths lower your heart rate and reduce stress, right? Now, what does this thing mean? It means being able to control your organs by yourself. Take a deep breath and calm down. Calm down. Why do you think that when somebody's angry, the first thing they'll tell you is calm down, calm down? No, I can't take it, man. I won't take it. How dare you? You dare me, I dare you, we dare ourselves. Calm down. The moment you are able to calm down, you realize that you have solved half of your presenting issues. Half of your communication issues have been solved the moment you are able to calm down. Because in being calm is a conscious reminder that you are in charge. In being calm is dominance. In being calm is mastery. The proof of mastery is your ability to manage yourself. Some of us are living in our body for 30 something years, 40 something years, but we do not have mastery over our body. You don't know how to tell your body to calm down by yourself, right? So when you want to present and you notice that your heart is racing, your chest is coming out, it's as if you want to ease yourself. That's the time that you want to ease yourself. That's the time that, oh, it's like you're going to pass a stool. Oh, it's like you want to use gas. It's like, it's fear. All of those things are triggered by fear. What you need to do is take a deep breath and relax. It is not as bad as you paint it in your head when you relax. All right, it's not that bad when you relax. Number 5 is focus on the audience, not yourself. Shift your mindset from self-consciousness to serving your audience. Concentrate on delivering value through your message rather than worrying about making mistakes. Now, this thing is very important, and I know I've said it before. What do you want these people to go home with? What are they taking out of my presentation? What am I teaching them? What value are they gaining from listening to me? What value are they gaining from my presentation? Or what am I trying to tell my audience? If I'm trying to pitch my company, for instance, what do I need to tell them for them to invest in my business? If I'm trying to pitch a startup, for instance, what do I need to tell them for them to invest in my business? That is a better mentality than, oh, am I going to make mistakes? My God, my God, my God, why have thou forsaken me? I will not make mistake in Jesus' name. I can't make mistake. Mistake is not my portion. The way you will make mistake, you will feel like the whole angels forsook you on the cross, because they will forsake you, because you are not using your energy positively. You're using the energy wrongly. And the more you dwell on the negative, the more the negative magnifies. Instead of doing that, ask yourself, what do I want my audience to go home with? What do I want this stakeholder to go home with? What does this stakeholder want to hear? And how do I project it in such a way that he is interested and he sees my value and he sees the value I'm bringing to the table? This is what you need to focus on. This is the place you need to pour your energy, not on making mistakes, but on delivering value. The 6th thing is accept imperfection. Embrace mistakes as part of the learning process. A stumble or misstep doesn't define your overall performance. All right. So, have you not noticed that in some cases, a person is making a presentation and they lose their thoughts, right? It happens to the best of us. Losing your thought, it happens to everybody, right? And probably you've been in the middle of a beautiful presentation and then you lose your thoughts for no reason. Your thought just leaves you. There is a way you handle it gracefully. Now, one thing about imperfections and mistakes is that handle it with grace, right? If you fall, fall gracefully and stand up graciously. Do you understand? Don't make it so obvious that you fell. And even if the audience notice that you made a mistake, take it that this is a natural human instinct. This is a natural human possibility, right? Nobody is born perfect. And so don't dwell on perfection. Instead, dwell on ensuring that you give an overall beautiful performance, right? That people can actually say that because I listened to you, this and this and this was what I was able to pick out. All right, so I hope that solves that. Now let's look at practical application examples. Now, in team meetings, before presenting, prepare key points and rehearse briefly to boost your confidence, right? Now, this rehearse briefly can be very dicey, so that you don't think is you prepare your points and then before you go there you now rehearse small. No, the rehearse briefly that we're talking about here is rehearse based on the rehearsal you have done at home, not that you are coming there to rehearse briefly. It's not true. The rehearsal you have done at home, right? When you get there or when it's time to present, just rehearse briefly to refresh your memory. But if you are at the event, don't over rehearse. Leave it the way it is. Just look through your materials, remind yourself a few things, but don't overstress your head, especially when you are a few minutes away from presenting. It can make you fidget, right? Now, focus on contributing insights to help the team rather than worrying about your personal performance. Right now, we're talking about team meetings. If probably you are called for a stand-up meeting, for instance, or you are called to make a presentation, for instance, focus on contributing insights, right? How are we solving a problem? How are we going from point A to point B? That should be your weapon. Look for something that you can hold in your presentation, right? It can be your key milestones, what you've achieved over the past 2 months, right? Focus on, please. If you are in StreamYard Studio, please confirm that you can hear me. Please, the people on StreamYard, can you confirm that you can hear me? People are not hearing me again. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Sekibo. I've seen it. Thank you. All right, so the second point is in client preparation, right? When you are preparing to meet a client, use a structured format to guide your speech, ensuring clarity and reducing the chance of getting off track. Now, when it comes to client preparation, right? Maybe you are a freelancer and you are supposed to have a meeting with a client, for instance. Please use a structured format. What do I mean by a structured format? Start by introducing yourself, right? Now start by after you introduce yourself, you talk about the problem that you solve, right? Try to keep it very structured and very professional. Don't diversify a lot. Don't even add any forms of stories or anything. Just go straight to the point. All right, just go straight to the point. Now practice potential Q&A scenarios to feel prepared for unexpected questions. Now there's one thing that technology has done for us that is very, very helpful: the ability to ask questions to chat GPT, right? I think we've even come to the end of this class, but then let me just finish up this last point. Now, what possible questions can a potential client ask you? You know, as professionals, we don't prepare for these things, and that is one of the things that keeps us off track, right? By the time they ask you some questions, they just throw you off balance and you're struggling to get yourself. No, you know that, or you are having a meeting for the role of a UI UX designer, or you're having a meeting for the role of a content writer, you can go and ask ChatGPT, what are the potential questions that they will ask me, right? What are the potential questions that this client is going to ask me? Or you can use prompts like, hi, I'm going for a meeting in the next 1 hour and I'm a software engineer. I need to know the potential questions my client is going to ask me based on my area of specialization as a front-end developer. Now, you've given ChatGPT a prompt. It's going to give you a list of potential questions. Trust me, the questions might not come the way ChatGPT gave it to you, right? But something around what it gave you can give you a guide on how to, build. It can also give you a guide on what to prepare for, so that even when they're asking you these questions, you have already come from a prepared mindset, right? Because you've told yourself that in this presentation there are going to be questions, and then you've prepared or you've rehearsed those questions, right? And I hope that with these few points of mine, ladies and gentlemen, we can be able to come to the end of today's class on building confidence in communication, right? Or building communication confidence. So please, if you have any questions, both those on YouTube and those on StreamYard, the floor is open for you to ask your questions now. Please ask your questions, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to ask a question, just put it in the chat that you want to ask a question so that I can add you to this stage. Or you can just put your question in the chat. Are you raising your hand? Um Oriola, are you raising your hand? Oh, or you're clapping. Which one? Oh, me, I don't used to understand all this emoji. Are you raising your hand or you're clapping? Right? Then if you have a question, okay, this thing is looking like clap. Thank you. So if you have a question, please ask your question. Sekibo, I don't know why I'm always calling your name, but I think it's because you mentioned that building confidence in communication is something you want to learn. So I want to ask you a question. Do you have a question? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Monisola. Thank you. Let me add you to stage, Sekibo, because I remember that you mentioned and I asked you before we started. So, okay, Oriola, thank you so much. You said you clapped. Thank you, my dear. This my two screens, they're not entering inside my eyes, so I'm not understanding these emoticons. I have to read it to understand it. Right, Seki, but please unmute yourselves. You have a question because I remember that this is one topic that was in your heart. Okay, you said, do you have any tips for an impromptu
Okay,
speech
okay, I already
where
jotted in
one
the
is not
chat.
opportune to rehearse? Oh, okay, I just saw it now. Okay, now, one thing you need to know about impromptu presentations is they are oftentimes not so lengthy, right? Except in situations where you are supposed to replace somebody immediately, and people don't just call you to replace people if they've not tried you over time. But in either of the cases, right, whether it's a 5 minutes presentation or it's a replacement, one thing with impromptu presentations is to start from what you know, right? So let me say, for instance, I come to class and I tell you, oh, Sekibo, you're going to be teaching us building confidence in communication. First of all, for the past 3 days, you've been learning communication. So a good place to start is to tell us what communication is, right? One of the best ways to tackle an impromptu presentation is to come from a place of what you already know, right? And then if probably they now call you to stage and your heart is beating, this is where you start practicing things like mindfulness, right? Mindfulness is the ability to be present per time. Understand that it's natural to feel fear, especially when you're not prepared. But in the midst of that fear, also remind yourself that this is something that is not new to you. Because in every setting, I don't think people will bring things that are totally alien. For instance, I cannot come and start asking people that are in a communication class things about and a very huge percentage of the time, right? None of you might be theater as students. Or it's just like now, somebody comes to start teaching you chemical engineering. It's totally alien. Or I ask you a question in fishery or zoology, it's alien. And so I'm not expecting you to do very well. But if I come to ask you a question based on communication, I'm asking you because I know that for the past 3 days or for the past 4 days you've been in class with us and you've actually started learning something. So people ask you during impromptu presentations based on what they have seen you do and based on their belief in you. However, because fear of making mistakes is a natural human instinct, right? The most important thing to do is to breathe. Master the act of calming yourself down and asking your head, what do I know about this topic? It can this all of these conversations can happen in a split second, in a few minutes. But then you can also start with preambles, right? Or you can start with a story that is connected to the topic, or something that just helps you ease out before you get into the main point. This way you build yourself to a point of balance, because impromptu presentation actually throws you off balance. But if you tell yourself, okay, where can I start from in tackling this presentation? Should I start from telling a story? All right, or should I start from, giving an analysis based on something that I have experienced? Because in an event, people believe that everybody in that event are within the same professional cycle. That if it's in the professional space, then for a wedding ceremony, for instance, you go for a wedding and then the MC just comes and asks you an impromptu question about the bride, except you came there to eat rice and run away and you don't know anything about the bride, or you don't know anything about any of the couple, then you can be scared. But if it's somebody you know, probably like your sister or your sibling or your friend or your colleague, there is something to say. You can start with what you admire about her as a person. Do you understand? Now, if let me take for instance, you go for a wedding presentation and they tell you, oh, favor, um give us a vote of thanks, for instance. You can start by acknowledging the union between the couple, right? Acknowledge that friendship is a beautiful thing. Just do something off script that helps you balance before you go into the vote of thanks. But if you immediately want to run into the vote of thanks, you might make mistakes because your brain has not yet fully comprehended what you want to say. In the process of starting with preambles, you coordinate your head, and that's why it's important that your brain and your mind and your mouth are in sync. The ability to connect your brain with your mouth makes you a wholesome professional, and these things are things you practice over time. All right, always. And that's why I always say, be conscious. That is where being a conscious person comes from. If you're a conscious person, you'd realize that for every present, present. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Sekibo. Does it answer your question?
Yes, ma. Thank you so much
You're
for today.
welcome. Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. So please, who else has a question? Who else has a question or a contribution? I'm going through the chats both on YouTube and StreamYard. Do you have a question? Do you have a contribution? Okay, nobody has a question. I think we have like 4 minutes before we round up for today, because I'm very particular about today so that we can rest. Tomorrow is work. I need to allow you guys sleep and go to work. So let me ask somebody. Right. Let me ask somebody. Okay. Mr. Olufemi, is you I'll ask. Let me add you to the stage. Let me ask you this question. Mr. Olufemi, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, good evening. Welcome.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am.
Thank you. So, what will you tell somebody? Let me say, for instance, you're learning communication and somebody comes to
Okay.
you and asks you about filler words, right? What will you
Okay.
educate somebody on filler words? What can you tell somebody about filler words, and how would you help them, you know, overcome using filler words? But firstly, I hope you know what filler words are.
Sure.
All right, so yes, I'm testing our impromptu presentation. Over to you. Oh yeah, impromptu. Let's go.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to say this. When it comes to filler words, if someone comes to me and I need to tell the person or admonish the person on filler words, the use of filler words and the disadvantages that is there, I will have to let him know, I'll bring the person into my own story, what I passed through, the mistakes I have made also, because it's something that I was guilty of before. So I think the best way to teach people is to teach people from your experience. It helps them to retain whatever you teach them, because in one of the professional this that I had at the time, I was given this kind of idea about open windows. That is when you teach people, by letting them in into your own mistakes or into your own experiences that you had in the past and how you tackle the issue and how you grow with it and grow out of it. It will help them to retain the knowledge. So I will have to allow the person into my own experience, how I've been battling with something like that. I didn't even know that it was bad actually until I attended this uh until I attended this training. So I will have to let the person know, okay, this is what I was doing, this is what I learned, this is how I learned it, and this is how I overcame it, and many things like that. So I believe that that is the best way on my own end, like my own view, to teach anybody that has that kind of issue or that I want to teach on that. If I've been able to deal with that better. Thank you, ma.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Olufemi. Right? The reason why I like to call people to talk is because when you talk, I measure progress. And again, significantly, I have also noticed that these or those filler words you came with on day one, I'm looking for them. If you notice, I was just paying attention because I was not even listening to what you were saying. Like, categorically, I was hearing you. But what I was paying attention to is trying to identify if those filler words are still there, right? There are a few that helps us click our thoughts. But if I'm going to give a general observation based on what you just said now and the previous presentations you've made, I can notice that the filler words are fading away, right? They are gradually fading away. And it is important that as professionals, when you come to a class, come with something that is peculiar to you and find a way to make it obvious that this is what you want to take out of this presentation. It might not be very obvious immediately, but if people point something out to you, make a conscious effort to work on that thing and ensure that you don't repeat that thing consistently. So, Mr. Olufemi, I don't know what you are doing behind the scene, but well done, right? And the part of you saying that you teach people about filler words based on your experience. Definitely people learn better when they can connect to a story, and that's why the storytelling industry is really big now. People are really making money off storytelling because it triggers an emotion that makes people feel like you are more human and they are more in tune to a human being than a robot, right? So thank you so very much, Mr. Olufemi, for sharing that idea, and well done on working on your filler words, right? Well done.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So who am I going to ask another question now? Who has not spoken today? I know that Sekibo has spoken. Okay, Rebecca, I've never heard your voice in my life. Jesus, how? Rebecca, please come, 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 come. Rebecca, can you hear me? First of all, confirm that you can hear me. Oh. Rebecca, you can unmute yourself and talk. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening, ma.
Good evening, Rebecca. How are you? How are you
Yes, I
doing?
can hear you. Can you hear me,
I can hear you. I can hear you, Rebecca. Can you hear me now?
ma?
Good evening.
Yes,
It's
I
like
can.
you
I
used
can
to
hear you.
hide, though. Will I say I've never seen you or I've never asked you question before? My God. Okay, so is this your first class? Let me know first. Is this your first class?
No, this is not my first class.
Oh, this is not your first class. Oh, great. So thank you very
Okay.
much. So how come I've not been asking you questions previously? Well, let me ask you a question, Rebecca. As a
Okay.
professional, right? As a professional that is learning soft skills, and you go to work tomorrow and they call you up to make an impromptu presentation on the milestones you've covered from, let me say, first quarter till now, right? Where are you going to
Okay.
start from? Remember, I used the word impromptu presentation, so they didn't tell you. Tonight, you go to bed, you sleep off, hoping to get to work tomorrow, go to your desk and just relax. And then 5 minutes to the stand-up meeting, they call you and they say, Rebecca, you're making a presentation on the milestones that you've covered from quarter one till now. How are you going to approach this situation? Rebecca, can you hear me? Hello, Rebecca, can you hear me? I would like to believe that this thing is network, but somebody, I know that somebody heard the question I asked. So, while we are waiting for Rebecca to probably
Okay.
fix her
Sorry to
network.
ask. Is it the milestones I have covered professionally or like my personal you?
Okay, so I think there's
Hello?
a downtime.
Can you
Can
hear
you hear
me?
me? Yes, I can hear you. Rebecca, I can hear you. I think your network is bad. So let me just allow somebody else answer that question. Jumoke, I know you've been on this call, so please, you heard the question I asked her, right? Ola Jumoke, can you hear me, please? I think we have like 4 minutes to round up this class. So, Ola Jumoke, can you hear me? You heard the question I asked her, right?
I'm trying to unmute my mic.
You're trying
Right.
to.
Yes, I've muted the mic already. So, good evening once again, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I think you
You're
asked
welcome.
that, sorry, I should not use the word I think. You asked that if it happened, probably tomorrow at my workplace, they asked me the milestone I've been able to cover for the past quarter of this year. Just
Mm,
like what you started with, I will just try to start from what I know because it's an impromptu something. So it's not something that I prepared for. And for me not
mm-hmm.
to falter, for me not to make any mistake, I would rather start from what I know. And how do I get started? By telling them how I've been able to, like my achievements for the past month, my challenges, how I've been able to achieve what I achieved and the challenges, how I'm able to overcome it. I think by that and by giving them example, I will try to structure in such a way that everybody will be able to relate with. Yeah. So with that, I'll be able to at least come up with something because one thing that I got to realize it, if you start with what you really know, you'll be able to dwell more in it. In fact, you'll be able to say a lot of things to the end that they will be telling you, please time up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, that is it, ma. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. I'm going to call somebody to um tell me if they agree with what you said, right? Rebecca, are you stable now? Did you hear what she said? Hmm? Rebecca, is your network stable now? I had to call somebody to answer the question because we weren't hearing you any longer. And then we didn't want to keep people waiting. So, did you hear what she said? I think your network is still bad. Okay, so let me ask Sekibo Favor. Favor, did you hear what she said?
No, really, my network is not stable, so I'm like trying to run it between YouTube and the studio.
Oh, your network is not stable. There's been a
Yeah.
serious network challenge for a period of time now, and that was why we tried to connect on both platforms so that if your network is having issues over here on StreamYard, you can always check YouTube if it's better. But then since what's it called? Mr. Olufemi has spoken. Patience said her network is poor, but she wants to say something. All right, before Patience, right? Let me just answer the question by myself. Olajumoke, well done, right? That was a brilliant answer, and it made me understand that you were actually paying attention to what I was saying. If you are called up for an impromptu presentation, please start with what you know, right? Especially if it's something that you can have or you've had a track record. For instance, the one I asked about milestones, what you've done, right, for the year. Do you understand? It's a record, a milestone. It's an everyday life. It's something that you are in sync with. Do you get? And then if you truly did the job by yourself, you'll be able to remember, no matter how impromptu it is, right? The things that you did that stuck with you, right? So well done, Olajumoke. That was good. So Patience, I'm going to add you to the stage now so that you can say what you wanted to say. And then sorry about your network, all right? So if you can hear me, please go ahead. We need to end this class very soon. Oh, her network has kicked her out again. I don't know. Should we give her like a minute so that we'll see if she'll come back? If not, by 9:15, I'm going to end the live stream. So please, if you have any questions, any contributions, um, anything that is bothering you that we've not covered yet, please put it in the live chat, right? If there's something you want us to talk about, or you want to learn about that is related to communication, but we've not covered it yet, and it's something that is within our free scope. Please, emphasis on free scope. Don't go and put that I should teach you. I should teach you the interior part of communication for free because I need to put that out there, right? But if there's anything you want to learn that you have not heard. Yes, you're welcome, Olajumoke. You say thank you so much for the teaching tonight. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So if you have any questions, any contributions, anything that you want to learn that we have not covered yet, or probably you have an issue and you want suggestions, Patience is back. Patience, please, I hope the network is better now, right? Because we will soon end this live stream. We will soon end it. Tomorrow is work. So please, if you can hear me, go ahead. You've turned
I
on your
pray
camera.
earnestly, better
Yay!
behave.
I can see your face. I've seen a face apart from my face. You're so pretty. Hi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wonderful.
You're welcome. Yeah, so go
Thank you.
ahead. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's really been a rough fight tonight with the internet issue, but what can we do? This is Africa.
Sorry.
Until we are ready to launch our own satellites out there, we'll keep managing
Sorry.
this according to the
Sorry.
laws. Okay. So the tidbit I got from what we did today, I really appreciate the fact that you stressed on that disease called imposter syndrome. And I
Mm.
make bold to say disease affects African women more, not just in tech, in all spheres of life. They hardly open their mouth to talk when they're in a meeting or when they're in a virtual session like this. Imagine virtual that nobody's looking at you eyeball to eyeball, but you don't want to have your say. This is pure and applied imposter syndrome. You are with people who are like you, they don't have two heads. We're not saying, for me, I would never advise anybody to be overconfident. No. If you must be an effective communicator, you don't have to be overconfident. Just be confident. Be your authentic self. We are all authentic in our own ways. Yes, we are. But the issue there is that many a times we lose sight of ourselves. And in fact, let me even speak to the feminine crowd here. I will touch on the males later. I will touch on them in between, but the women in particular. Because our society has so much eroded our mindset, our mentality, that as a woman, you have to slow down. They will tell you as a woman, you cannot have it all. Who says that? They lie. You can have it all and more, but it all begins with you. It all begins with us. If we are to kill this imposter syndrome, that is really reducing our progress and everything. Because no matter who you are, no matter your stage as a professional or aspiring professional, if you are not good with communication, then you are everything you're doing is a coefficient that amounts to zero. Okay, so the thing there is that some of us, up to now or before now, both men and women, they are always allowing this other thing called perfectionism to water the plants of imposter syndrome in them. Either you do it perfectly or you don't do it at all. And you keep procrastinating, delaying communication with those who may push you up the ladder and the likes, thereby hindering your progress or productivity. I just want to give an example that comes to my mind. I don't know. I understand that Nigeria, we have diverse religions, and I hardly talk about religious issues because anything religion or religious is really, really delicate. But then we have what they call, I think we have a common ground, especially the Muslims and the Christians. At least we all know and respect Moses, the prophet Moses, or Musa, as our Muslim brothers will call him. Both the Bible and the Quran, they have similar um, talks or similar stories on Moses' encounter with God at the burning bush, right? When he was there, we know him. I mean, he had this imposter syndrome too, because he believed he could not do it. Well, who would blame him? A stutterer, somebody who stammers. But on the other hand, he was just a shepherd. He was actually taking his flock, looking for where they are going to eat grasses, taking them to greener pastures and all that when God encountered him. And what did God tell Moses when Moses told God why he's not qualified? He asked him, "What is in your hands?" And what did he have in his hands at that time? Just a rod. That stick they used to flog any nama that don't want to hear word. With just that stick, he began his journey to leadership. Began his journey to be one of the best communicators we always refer to when we discuss about, anything religious. Both the Muslims, the Christians, they always revere and talk about Moses till today. And more than how many thousands of years, we are still talking about Moses' road. Because he allowed himself to cure or purge that imposter syndrome of him. Today, We may not really have much. Yes, as Africans, we are disadvantaged. I say this with all gusto, with all authority. As far as tech is concerned, we are trying. We are resilient. Our internet, our internet issues is enough to make somebody go gaga. Okay, look at what we have been experiencing since we started this program. Just is that one not more than enough disadvantage? But you kept going. I think apart from the issue of coming here to learn how to be effective communicators, I think every one of us should borrow a leaf from you. Despite all the should I how this one time senator who lost so much grammar, what he used to say, despite all the network crankums, you were still resilient. You used what you have in your hands.
Thank you. Oh, I think her network has gone bad. I'm so sorry, patience. I understand what you're saying. This network is embarrassing. Sorry about that. So we have one question in the chat, and I think that's the last, so that we can end this live stream now. Right? Olajumoke asks, I want to ask that which voice tune is much better when having a presentation? Is it being audible, which some people count as shouting, or trying to lower your confidence even when you speak with confidence? Now, I need you to understand something. You don't need to shout to be audible, right? I'm not shouting, but I'm very audible. Do you understand? It's practicing how to project. Now, there's a difference between come here and come here. Do you understand? When you are shouting, you are putting emphasis or stress on the word. When you are projecting, you're trying to push your voice above the normal limit. Right now, in projection, also, and it's very important that professionals learn to practice projection, because sometimes you can be presenting and the mic will go off, right? Or the gen will go off and you still need to continue. Now, in that case, you have to train your voice to project, not shout. So when you ask which one is better when having a presentation, please be audible by practicing projection, right? Projection, not shouting. You don't need to shout to be audible. I hope that answers your question. And then you said trying to lower your confidence even when you speak with confidence. Your confidence is not lowered by your voice, the tone or the emphasis or the stress on your voice. Your confidence is lowered by how much of what you want to say you have in your head, and how you are able to say that thing consistently while still making meaning. I don't know if you understand me. Now, I want to teach on communication, and I don't know what I want to teach. No matter how audible my voice is, I will not be able to be confident because there is nothing in my head, right? But if I have a low voice and I know what I want to teach, no matter how low my voice is, once I have a microphone, I can still say what I want to say and people will understand me. So if first, confidence in presentation first starts by understanding what you want to share, right? Understanding what you want to teach. That is where your confidence grows first, not how your voice, the highness or lowness of your voice. It doesn't really count. And I hope that answers your question. So we've come to the end of today's class. I don't think I'll be attending to any more questions because of time. Tomorrow is Monday. People need to sleep and go to work, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any more questions, please put them in the chat on WhatsApp, right? Not here. Put it in the chat on WhatsApp so that we can attend to that. All right. But if you don't have any questions, this is good night and have a great week from me and all of us. Tomorrow's class is going to be practical. You know, I always tell us what we're going to learn for the new day. right? So tomorrow is going to be a practical class, meaning that we're going to be practicing all we've learned, right? So I'm going to go through my scheme. That's what I jotted down, and see if it's something that I need to put in a document so that I can share the document early with us, right? And if it's something I need to share us in groups for, so I can do that either this night or tomorrow morning, right? But then we need to know what each person is going to be doing. So tomorrow we are going to have a practical class, right? It's not going to be me teaching. We're going to be practicing what we've learned. I think tomorrow is day 6, right? And that's what is up for day 6. I'm very sure it's going to be a practical class. So come prepared. I told us to turn on our camera, and all of us are hiding. Tomorrow's class, if you don't turn on your camera, there is no class, right? We need to see ourselves. Can't you see we saw Patience, and didn't you see how pretty she was looking, right? So I need to see your beautiful and handsome faces tomorrow. All right, end this live stream now. Thank you very much for learning day 4 and day 5 with us, and I hope you practice all we've learned and we use these lessons to our best advantage as professionals. Good night and have a blessed week. Bye. You're welcome, Mr. Olufemi.